Have you ever felt completely drained, both physically and emotionally? Have you just ever looked in the mirror and hated yourself? Have you not fit into your clothes? You're tired of taking another medication, tired of looking at photos and thinking, gosh, just delete, delete, delete. You're not alone. Today, we're going to call that the pit. The pit isn't just about being tired from busy life. It's so much deeper. It's when your mental and physical energy feels completely depleted and every task, no matter how small, feels overwhelming. It's when self-care doesn't feel like an option. Today, we're going to dig into that and we're going to give you the tools to get out. Hi, I'm Jen and this is Erin, and together we're Life Beyond the Scale.
All right, Erin, this week we're talking about the pit. Now, when it comes to health and wellness, I often refer to the pit as just what it sounds like, just this dark place, this hole in the ground, so to speak, of our wellness journey, our health, where just all of a sudden something, we're on track, we're ready to pay attention to our goals. It's a new year. We have resolutions. We want to get healthy. This is the year. And then all of a sudden, like life just keeps lifing and slams us into this pit. The bill of a new furnace, orthodontist appointments, car accidents, snowstorms, whatever. And all of a sudden, boom, we're back into this pit. And now I just hate it down here. But I also feel like I don't even know how to get out. And so today we're going to talk about this pit, this place that we sometimes fall into. I think sometimes we get shoved into, and sometimes, I'm going to say it, we happily jump in. It's vacation. It's the holidays. Woohoo. And we jump into this place and we're going to sit and complain in the pit. We don't like how we've stopped socializing. But boy, at the same time, I don't want to do the work that it takes to get up there. And it seems so far down or so far up, I should say, that I don't even know where to start. And so pretty soon I just stay in this pit. And, my visual brain goes to like, not only am I in the pit and I'm cranky and guilty and shame and just the worst parts of me come out. But all of a sudden, I'm like decorating. I'm moving in, right? Like I've got the flat screen. I got a lazy boy. I'm asking you to throw me down a bag of chips because I'm just going to stay in the pit and have a pity party. So I don't know. How do you feel about this pit? Have you ever been there? Does that make sense how I'm describing it?
Completely. The word that resonated the most was you go down there to feel relief. And it's kind of like a little vacation getaway for when things are getting too difficult and rough. And for many people, myself included, it's kind of a worn pathway. Like I know my way there. It's like I can get there so quickly. My head spins how quickly I can jump into that pit so freely. And then when I'm down there, I'm like, well, darn it. I got to get out of here. It's getting dark and I'm getting tired and I don't feel good down here. But in the moment, it feels great. It feels great because you have that dopamine release because you're like, I'm just going to do all the things that I know I shouldn't, or not that I shouldn't, but things that aren't serving me.
Right. And then because I'm in the pit, I can just turn it into a pity party. And so
Yeah.
since I'm already off track, let's be all the way off track. Let's eat all the things that are affecting my health goals, that are keeping me from the goals. Let's avoid the socialization, the friends that maybe would be my support system. Let's stop going to that exercise class. And now I can just stay here and wallow and also skip meals, maybe eat all the wrong things or the less healthy things, stay in bed all day, scrolling on my phone, right? And just kind of almost like avoiding the work, but also the routines that have helped us to get to the place that we already are. And
Yes.
so it's really not like I want to guess be clear to our listeners, like this isn't like, oh my gosh, I was trying so hard and now I'm tired and I'm lazy. No, it's I'm emotionally drained. I don't have the bandwidth. We're taking care of everyone else and like, where do I even fit in? And it just feels like one more thing after another. And so almost in a sense, I give up.
Shout out to all the caregivers out there.
Yeah.
Mothers, young children, mothers of all children, uh, people taking care of their parents that now suddenly they become the parents to their parents. All of those are the, on top of the rest of your everyday life, on top of your job, on top of everything that goes on in your world. All of those things can drain you, drain that battery that we talk about.
Yeah.
And when your battery is drained, you're looking for some sort of relief. And the pit can be not a false sense, but a temporary place to go. But
Mm,
I think back, I jumped into the pit when I was when I was a caregiver to my mother. Just
sure.
that was my coping strategy. On the days that she didn't know who I was,
Sure.
that was very hard to deal with, and that was my coping mechanism. So looking at kind of what are the things that drive you into the pit? I think that's something kind of important to look at.
And to recognize that so that eventually we don't stay in the pit very long. Right? Like if
Yes.
once I know why I go there, why I like it so much, it'll be easier to like as I'm tiptoeing closer and closer or just kind of like wobbling back and forth, I can, throw my hands up and grab each side and kind of shuffle my way back to the top before I get all the way down into the darkness. Right. But sometimes down there, it can be where there's not expectations, there's no pressure to be perfect. It's a place where it allows me to maybe be numb and free from responsibility. And that's probably not even true, right? Like, I probably still have family to take care of and kids that need to be places and bills that need to be paid. But while I'm down there, it's almost like la, 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 la. I- I'm just in my own little sadness bubble. And so it meets that need. And I think we start to stay and we stay longer. We stay
Yeah.
longer than we should. And now this, like you mentioned earlier, that pathway in the brain, now all of a sudden we start doing this on repeat and we're getting this reward. Boy, we're going to be down there anytime life throws us some kind of curveball because we've made it such a happy place to be, but it's not happy because it's still full of that darkness and that I don't like who I am kind of
Yeah.
place, right? And so I guess when we stay too long, what do you find happens to you?
It's amazing how quickly the healthy habits that I put in
Yeah,
place, it's almost like they disappear into the thin air. Like all of a sudden it's like green salad, what?
right.
Exercise, what? I When you said something about darkness, it really made me think about at this time of year, especially we live here in the Midwest. It's January. It's cold. It's really cold today. The sun is shining.
Yeah,
That's the one
which is
thing when it
nice.
gets
Yeah.
really one thing when it's really cold, the sun shines finally. But those dark days and kind of that feeling of this time of year. It's kind of a time of year where we're all inside and there's that word cozy that I always hear. The pit can be cozy. It gets so comfortable down there. You don't actually want to leave.
Well, and one thing that you kind of sparked in me is that like the expectations go away. So while I'm cozy in this pit, maybe no one's expecting me to show up. Maybe no one's expecting me to get dressed or leave the house or be the thin friend or the healthy friend, right? Like it's almost like that 2020, if like 2020 became like forever, the beginning of 2020,
Oh,
and we
no,
were
no,
just
no.
like living in sweatpants and Zoom calls and all of that. And you could just be like, well, I'm never leaving the house anyway. Right. It's almost that same mentality of,
100%. That is such a good way to describe
yeah.
it. Yeah, that is like the 2020 feeling of lockdown. Yeah.
Right. And so, like, let's say, and, I love hiking, I love being out in nature. But if you invite me a few times to go for a walk and I keep turning you down, eventually you stop expecting me to say yes. So then you stop even asking me. And so again, I might be sad about not being invited, but this is nice and easy again. It's comfortable again. Nobody cares. When with
Mm,
again, that's so not true in the big scheme of life, but it just seems so lonely.
mm.
And maybe also not just physically lonely, but no one else gets it.
What you said, nobody's expecting anything
Yeah.
of me. And the expectations of life can be so daunting sometimes. So maybe sometimes that feeling of just taking a break, stepping away.
Mhm. Yeah. The other reality check of the pit is even though it can take like one moment to just jump in or one unexpected bill that don't have money for to just shove me into the pit, one illness, one loss of a loved one, whatever that might be, you don't get out that quick.
No, you
Right.
don't.
And so I think hopefully this pit analogy, this visual that we've given our listeners today resonates with them, but ultimately, like we want to normalize it. Like you're not alone. We all have our own pits. Like we all have all these little holes all around where we're all just living here. But let's work on figuring out, how do I get out?
Well,
And yeah, like I sometimes I want to be like, just reach down, Aaron, and grab my hand and pull me out.
come on.
But then I might just let go and be like, but there's chips down here.
Question. We were supposed to record yesterday.
Yeah.
And yesterday, you and I both got big, big bills, like
Yes.
out of the blue, big bills. Did you jump into the pit?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know that I was all the way in the pit, but I think
But
both.
you were taking a step in just to see if the water was okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because also, for those of you in the Midwest, by the time you listen, you're going to not even remember. But we had the unexpected snowstorm when the roads were bad. And so
Yeah.
you were working, I had somewhere to be. I tried to stop at a four-way stop sign and my car just slid right through the intersection. And
Scary.
so I think it was 7:30 in the morning, I think, when that happened. And I feel like that immediately took away half of my daily battery. Like I was so frazzled. And then even though the car that was had the right of way realized that I wasn't stopping and stopped and there was no accident or anything, my brain still went to the what if we would have went through it and it would have been my daughter's side of the car that got hit, and my brain just went worst case scenario. There
Mm,
was not a, oh, thank you Lord, I didn't get in an accident. I was already like emotionally drained, and then to get the bill, right? And so the same with you. You had to travel very far to work to get through that snowstorm and then get home and then deal with all the emotions of all of your members. That's stealing our battery. And so, yeah, when we both get these very large bills, I was just kind of dumbfounded.
well,
And
yeah.
yeah, when my daughter was like, "Hey, can we leave here and get a breakfast sandwich from McDonald's?" I don't eat McDonald's. I've said that for years. I am not tempted by McDonald's. Yesterday, I pulled up, she got a breakfast sandwich, and they said, they're two for $6. I'm like, sure, throw me one. And I was like, where did that come from? Right. And so, in some
Yeah.
ways, that was me starting into the pit, um, but I didn't land all the way down. I think I had
Yeah.
like I don't know, an anchor. I don't know. I'm not a mountain climber, but I feel like when that pickaxe or whatever, I'm scraping with my fingernails, I'm holding on. What about you? When you got your large bill yesterday?
Well, I told you, I said, I can't record. I have no heat. The plumbers are coming. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God. It's a 30-year-old furnace. I knew that it wasn't going to be good news, no matter what. But I think the fact that I decided to just not push and to just to sit in it. I just sat in that feeling of like dread and frustration. And I just sat through it and got through it. And then I didn't do anything, which is highly unlike me.
Yes,
So,
yes,
so perhaps the fact that I wasn't like what I'm normally like, must keep going, do not stop. Instead, I was like, I can't even deal with this. I can't even, if we would have tried to record, I would have been like, what did you just say? I can't even focus. So maybe recognizing that sometimes we just have to be like, all right, the studies show that emotions only last 90 seconds. I felt like it lasted longer than that, but I too almost hit the car in front of me on the way in, and that just shook me for a good
yeah,
hour. That feeling of like that adrenaline that
right.
takes over in your body. So I think this whole pit thing it's valuable to really recognize your emotions and
Mm-hmm.
and to say, this is why I'm feeling this way. I don't actually need to climb all the way down. I could just sit
Right.
here for a second and recognize that I feel not
Yeah.
good.
Just take a nap and then get
Yeah,
back out. It probably
pretty
helps
much.
both of us to check in with each other. I mean, neither of us really knew that we were both going through a rough day, but that might have been like putting on the brakes a little bit, right? Like that might be our first step out of the pit because like I said, I might want you to pull me out, but you might not have everything that I need to get out. Right. Sometimes I do think that we're in the pit and I might need my friend to jump in the pit with me and be like, I'm going to carry you out. Like, suck it up, buttercup.
Here she
Right?
goes.
Yeah,
Where's
like
the fireman hold? I got
that's
you.
right. Like, let's go. Sometimes we need that friend to kick our butt and be like, we're doing this. Get out of the house. We're getting you dressed. You're doing the thing. And sometimes we need that friend to just sit and be quiet in our pain. That's okay too. But the reality is the first step to getting out is going to have to figure out what that emotion, what's that craving, what's that reward that the pit is giving us.
Yes.
Did I need to be by myself a little bit? Was I craving quiet? Was I craving um, community? Was I craving, a day of rest and big baggy clothes and, vegging out on Netflix? I don't know. But until I realize, what it's giving me, what that kind of that I can't even think now how to even explain it. That whatever that pit is giving me, what I like about the pit so much, until you can figure out what you like about the pit so much, that's going to be able to be like, okay, so how do I get that not here, but back up into the light, right? Like go to the light. What's up there? What do I want from up there more than what I want down here? And so we're using that ladder analogy today of, all right, so Aaron's lowered a ladder down to me, but sometimes those ladder rungs are hard to climb up, right?
Mhm. And
Sometimes it
sometimes
just
I
don't.
feel like they're so far apart you can't hardly reach
Yes.
them.
Right. And so I guess we have to kind of figure out like one rung at a time, one baby step at a time, and allow yourself the grace to say, I'm not going to just, Superman jump out of here. I'm going to have to do the work and the baby steps. And it might be 3 rungs up and 2 rungs down, and another rung up and another bill comes, or another, bad news, or another snow day, or whatever. And we're just up and down. But start thinking like bottom rung, what is so small and doable that today or on the worst of our days, it's so stupid easy. I think I can do this. And now that baby step might meet that emotional need the pit was giving me. But now I'm not in the pit. I'm on the bottom rung. And then I go to the next rung. I guess, what do you think some of those little baby steps are?
Thinking about the things that you enjoy, maybe
Mm,
maybe there's been things that maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's a phone call to a friend, something something that you haven't done, but you've thought about doing, but for one reason or another you just didn't do it.
yeah.
Maybe coming up with a plan on, hey, maybe going into that room and finding that knitting or that painting or whatever it is, that maybe that book that you had that you were like, I've been meaning to start that book. I
Yeah.
don't know. Finding something that will give you that same level, or start to give you that same level of enjoyment, because that's the thing about the pit. It feeds a
Yeah.
feeling, for good or
Yeah.
bad.
Exactly. So if I can and maybe even physically feeding,
Mhm.
or eating maybe it's feeding my sugar craving or whatever that might be. But yeah, I think you're on the right track of just understanding and trying to pause long enough to identify what it is that you are getting out of the pit and then work backwards. Okay, so
Yes.
if I need comfort, what can I do to get rest that's not in the pit? If I need community, if I need an escape, if I need, high energy, what is it giving me so that I have a backup plan? Even if it is I'm craving sugar and I'm out of control. Okay, so what else makes me feel in control? Or what other food or hot tea or whatever it may, a cutie, a sumo orange, a sumi orange. I love those darn things. Like maybe I need to have like almost like that plan B of, okay, when I start down this slippery slope, right, of landing in the pit, this ripple effect, how do I stop and be like, oh, I need something sweet? Okay, it's not candy, it's a sumi orange. Or I just need a break, like you said. Maybe I need to just go scream and yell and whatever. Or I could journal, or I could call my friend, or right, like trying to give yourself all these little baby ladder rungs, but I got to know it ahead of time because in the pit, it's so dark. I can't read my notes. I don't remember what I was supposed to do. I'm
Yeah.
in my head.
Yeah. That's the hard part. That's It's the planning ahead when you do have that moment of enlightenment or energy to be like, okay, what can I do in this moment? And really, it is about not going too big, because I think when we think it's big and it's like, oh, well, I haven't cleaned my house for a while, and oh, I haven't done this
Right.
for a while. And then you start thinking about it, and then you're like, wow, that's so much. I'm overwhelmed just thinking about it. I think I'll do none of it.
Right. That all or nothing mentality that gets in our way all the time. And maybe that's what the pit is giving us is that excuse for the freedom from having to do all the things. And so instead of it being from the pit, give yourself that allowance to say, okay, right now it's January of a new year, and I think I have to like commit to all of these new changes. No, what's that one thing that I can end today and say, if I do this one thing, I'm going to be proud of myself. I'm going to feel successful, and I'm going to, learn that self-efficacy that I can do this and I can do another hard thing tomorrow.
I
I
love
don't
that.
have to do all the things. I can do one. Yeah, something that bottom rung, that first step has to be so almost ridiculous that this is your goal for the day. That I am, well, I'm going to give you an example. Years and years ago, I was doing a struggling member workshop for Weight Watchers. And a woman had come in. She hadn't been to Weight Watchers in, I don't even know, months and months and months. And a friend had dragged her and said, come to this struggling member workshop. I bet this might give you the encouragement to figure out what you're doing. You're just complaining to me all the time about how much weight you've gained, how you're unhappy, nothing fits you. Just show up here, right? Nobody's going to weigh you today. Like, just come and chat. But she had had a membership for a gym membership for almost a year and had never attended. She had bought it online. It was very inexpensive, but she had never shown up because in her head, she didn't belong, right? Like she was like, I don't have work out the right clothing. Everyone is going to be super in shape. They probably are going to have, little crop shirts on and tight little pants, and the guys are going to be all buff. And so she was talking herself out of it. So when kind of this bottom rung of the ladder, like, what are you going to do? And so she broke down her ladder rung so small that her first rung was today on the way home, I'm going to drive my car by the gym and just teach my car how to get there. I'm going
Love
to
it.
remember, I'm going to go see it, but we're not stopping. The next time she went, she said that she was going to go and she was going to touch the door and then jump back in her car. Literally, like run up to the door, touch it, get back in the car. So she goes to do that. And guess what? Somebody opened the door for her. And so she said, but don't worry, I didn't have to exercise because I wore dress shoes and, she was in her work outfit or her, suit for work. And so she said, I knew that no one could convince me to exercise because I wasn't dressed right. But when she ran to touch the door, one of the employees opened the door, invited her in, and said, would you like me to give you a tour of our facility? And walked her around. And all of a sudden, she noticed other people dressed like her in, baggy t-shirts and sweatpants, that there were women of her age there, that not everyone that was there was already at their, prime health and, body physique. And all of a sudden, this became to like help her get out of that pit of I'm paying this money, but I'm wasting it. I'm not good enough to go there. I can't go there. I won't fit in. Everyone will laugh at me. All of those things kind of faded away. And she was slowly climbing out of the pit without realizing it. By the end, the worker, the employee asked her if she wanted to schedule a time to come back and they would teach her how to use some of the machines. Right. But it all started with the baby step is I'm just going to teach my car how to get here.
Love that.
Second, I'm going to touch the door and run back into the car, no expectations, and laugh about it and be proud of herself for doing it. Right? Like it has to be so silly easy that we're going to do it even on the darkest of days.
Well, the two things that I got out of it was that, first of all, there's so many studies that have proven this to be true,
Yeah.
that it is so many people who have done exactly that, doing that drive around, drive there, just making it a habit of just going to the gym, just going and driving up. That starts to become a habit. But what I got most out of what you said was the fact that she had so many preconceived notions about the experience. And it's truly about what's inside our head and what we think, that we think all these thoughts. And so part of it is climbing through the minutia of these thoughts to get one little step on each little rung.
Right. And to give ourselves credit for those little baby steps that we've done, because in our head, it just seems so powerful. We've talked about that in other podcasts, like getting it out and hearing it can be like, oh, wait a second. Is that even true?
Well, that's one of the biggest things we do at Weight Watchers is that we start all of our workshops with celebrating the small things that people do. And, I think there are some people who are like, they roll their eyes. They're like, I don't want to share that. That's too small. Nobody's going to think that's a big deal. And once they start to listen to what other people share, they realize that it's like, no, that's actually a big deal. That if you don't start to recognize those small things, those small changes that you make in your life, your brain needs the recognition. It needs to have that positive recognition of like, hey, I'm on the right track. And when I'm on the right track, I have momentum. And when I have momentum, I'm more likely to keep going.
Right.
And I'm getting out of that pit.
Yeah. But we're building barriers around the pits or keeping us in the pit. And we're not going to be able to work forward because we haven't taken the time to recognize what keeps us out of the pit.
Huge. So you don't need to climb out of the pit with guilt. You climb out with compassion, one rung at a time. Yeah.
So listeners, what's your bottom rung? What's that
Yes.
itty bitty, ridiculously easy step that you can take today if you are just not feeling like you're on track with where you wanted to be in the middle of January? What's that very first small step that you can take today? No matter what happens, no matter what the weather's like, no matter if you have a cold, no matter what bill comes due, it's so easy. It's your first rung out with compassion. We'd love to hear from you.
And maybe you need some help. My friend Jen here, she's a health and wellness coach, and there's a link to her discovery call in the show notes. So perhaps maybe having somebody to help you ask the questions to get you thinking, to figure out what your first rung is, what your first step is. And believe me, she will help you come up with the tiniest things. Jen will be like, no, nothing is too small. No,
Nothing is too
nothing
small.
is too small. Every step, every change counts.
Please, I would love that. If you've never heard the term discovery call, it's just an opportunity for you to discover what health coaching is, to discover if you are ready for a health coach, if we're a good fit for one another. But it is a free call. There's no pushiness, there's no expectation. Just a 20-minute conversation to allow you some space to hear and to share what's going on with you. So click that link below. I can't wait to hear from you.
Yes. Next up is Jen's Coaching Corner. We'll see you guys next week.
In today's world, it's easy to turn to food for comfort. But what if instead you faced your feelings? What if we took a moment to confront what's really going on? Often when we're reaching for a snack, it has nothing to do with hunger. We're just trying to avoid something much deeper. Stress, sadness, boredom, anxiety. Before you take a bite of that cookie, I want you to pause and breathe. Identify that emotion that you're feeling. Is it stress after a bad day? Maybe you're feeling a little lonely. The house is quiet. You've survived and you're trying to reward yourself. Whatever it is, acknowledge the feeling. That's your first step. Once you identify it, ask yourself, what is it that I really need? A walk outside, a call with a friend, maybe just some quiet time to relax. Choosing to face your feelings doesn't mean you're ignoring your needs. It means you're understanding them better. And by doing so, we can stop using food as a distraction. Over time, this awareness will help lead to a healthier relationship with both our feelings and with food. So the next time you're tempted to feed your face, remember it's an opportunity to face your feelings. If this resonates with you and you'd like to go deeper, click the link below and book a coaching session with me. This is coaching for real women in real life. And I'm here to support you every step of the way. Part cheerleader, part tough love, and all coach that fits your life. Make sure you click, like, and follow for next week's episode of Life Beyond the Scale, the podcast.